Hello and good evening again for another edition of Ideas Exchange. Today is Wednesday, December 8th. I believe that many of us are monitoring what is happening around the country. One major issue that everybody is worried about is how can you make ends meet? The politicians are fighting over e-levy, and majority of Ghanaians are saying they understand that it's going to be a worry. The finance minister just recently said that he's engaging the minority side of parliament to see how that issue, that controversy can be addressed. But I believe that in that budget, many people on the side of government are promising us hope. And those on the other side who are scrutinizing the figures and all the issues raised in the budget are saying it looks gloomy. But for you and I, it is about bread and butter issues. Today's edition of Ideas Exchange is not going to follow what is already on the table that we are talking about. We want to look at what bothers you, what bothers your family. If you are a young man or a young woman, you'll be asking yourself, in all these, what is there out for me? It's about jobs. Every country wants its citizens well educated. And so education goes with job or availability of jobs. The idea is to make every citizen responsible rather than becoming dependent on society for survival or a deviant in society, because as we know, they say that the devil finds work for the idle hand. But the bigger picture there, even today, as we speak and we talk about free education, talk about all the things that will empower you and I, our children, those yet to be born, it's not about just educating them. It is about ensuring that they get the right type of education to be able to fit into society. And so today, our conversation is to look at, is there really any opportunity out there for the young man if they cannot depend solely on white-collar jobs? And if they are there, why is it that some people can see it and you and I cannot see it? Again, we're also talking about technology. You know that technology is competing with human beings for jobs. And so the things we used to do when we looked at the construction industry has been taken over by heavy-duty machines. And simple electronic tools are taking the jobs away from you. So when we train our children today, are we giving them the orientation to be able to fit into tomorrow's society, or we are just pushing them onto the field? And so our discussion today is simple. We want to look at jobs. We want to look at opportunities. We want to look at entrepreneurial skills and if they are available and how you can nurture them to be able to be self-sufficient and perhaps create jobs. Today I'll be speaking to two exciting individuals. They are all reverend ministers, they are motivational speakers, they are lecturers, and they are people who are change makers. One will be with me in the studio. Another one has made a presentation, an exciting presentation that is full of food for thought that I want you to listen to, reflect on. And it should not be the usual, let me listen and pass on that information. Call a friend to watch us on Tvxyz or our social media handles, either on Facebook, YouTube, or the other handles, and join this conversation. With me in the studio is a young man. He is the CEO of Mandate Leadership Group, an educational outfit devoted to raising a new generation of leaders for the reformation of the world. He is a director of Outright Learning Center and also the founding vessel of Rest House Chapel, a multicultural and multinational fast-growing church with its headquarters in Accra. He's called Reverend Dr. Joshua Ofori. I'll show his face shortly. And he's a lecturer, author, preacher, motivational speaker. As I said, he's a radio broadcaster and host of High Talk Show, a motivational TV broadcast. And I'll tell you a lot about him. He's well educated, of course, that's why he's a doctor. He's a student of the University of Cape Coast, Regent University, Cambridge Theological College, American Bible, and My Life Theological University. He's with me in the studio. The other one I'll talk about is also a Reverend Doctor, a motivational speaker, and it goes on and on. Doc, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, I like your voice, very heavy, and I don't know whether you are feeding on your voice, because this conversation is about how can you survive in a world where nothing appears to be working as it should be.
Very interesting, but I believe that we are made to survive, and the most important thing is to get enough information that will put you on the survival table. And I believe that meetings of this sort or programs of this sort are meant to sort us out, and I'm trusting God that we'll do justice to such a topic.
Right, so the conversation will start soon, but my second guest, who will be speaking to us through a recorded presentation that he did, is also a reverend minister, author, and executive coach. He's the executive pastor of ICGC Christ Temple, co-founder of Springboard Roadshow Foundation, and lead consultant of Legacy and Legacy. I believe many of us know Reverend Albert Okran. I had some 3-4 years engagement with him when I worked with him at that time at Joy FM. And so I've admired him from afar, and I am privileged to have been part of a program he presented recently together with Reverend Dr. Joshua Ofori's organization and XYZ Broadcasting, which was targeting the youth in terms of startups and how to grow it. But it appears our educational institutions may be training so many people who are coming out, and we understand that the kind of education we receive within our part of the sub-region is about one of the best. Yet, we are not seeing that translate into the theming youth who are looking for opportunities because the public sector, obviously, is choked. What could be the reason?
Thank you very much. I must say a very good evening to all your listeners and viewers as well. I think it's a very worrying thing if we take a good look at our education system. As a person, one of my worries looking at our educational system is the fact that it is more of a read and write kind of raising people. And the world has gone beyond that, where people must get to a place where they develop a good understanding of getting things done and also fitting into the trends of the world. Unfortunately, our kind of education is more of the type that teaches you how to put 1 and 2 together, how you are able to put alphabets together and read them. These are basic things that must cut across every education. But beyond it, I think there is a need for leadership to get to a place where we rethink and see how we can restructure our education. Because trust me, if we will go with what we have already and move on that trend, it will be very, very difficult for us to make progress. The world is changing. The things we used to do in the past are not applicable in the present. And unfortunately for us, we are so stuck. We operate the dinosaur system. We believe in, and that is what we came to meet, and we keep following that trend. But trust me, right from the onset in other places, they begin to put the right stuff in the minds of kids and develop them. So by the time they grow, they are not people that are trained. I see our educational system to be the kind of training where we give paper to people. But beyond the paper must be competence. They are people you put in you get them into your outfit, and trust me, all they have is just a paper that tells what they have scored, but they can't think, they are not innovative, they are not creative, they cannot come out with anything outstanding. And trust me, that is what the world is looking now. We have gone past the ability to read. and the ability to write. Interestingly, you find people that cannot even read well or write well, and yet their performance is outstanding as far as production and being innovative is concerned. Interestingly, I believe that when it comes to nation development, the contribution of the informal sector is even getting more profound and more impactful than the formal sector.
That is the public sector. We'll go into that.
All right.
But you are a reverend minister, and we will be looking at aspects of what the doctrine talks about and factor that into this conversation.
Okay.
So you can be blind. If you want to get knowledge, you have to read. And so the Bible has several verses which make reference to this summary I am putting across for the purpose of this conversation. Are we suggesting that the kind of education we are giving the youth who go through the basic, secondary, university level does not open their minds enough to see how they can overcome the current challenges? And so we make it as flat as somebody will say, Yatiabre, what is different about what we are hearing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have been doing the same thing for all these years. You and I have been through school. The kind of things we studied, I mean, some of them are just obsolete. I mean, it doesn't really make sense when you come to the job market. I believe in basic education. I mean, we need to get the basic information, but beyond that, what are the changes we are supposed to make as leaders to restructure the minds of the growing, populace, to bring them to a place where they can be productive? You know, when you train people who only go look for jobs and don't have the ability to create jobs, then you are rather creating a problem.
So what are entrepreneurial opportunities? We hear them. People like you say it a lot. Sometimes we assume that you are trying to blow things out of proportion because you seem to make it look like it is so simple, but people like me have never been able to walk it as you say it.
Thank you very much. I think the problem starts from here. Let me do some digesting to the problem. The problem begins with the kind of definition we have for work, or call it job. That is where the whole thing starts from. You know, growing up as a child, you enter into a classroom and you ask a child, what do you want to do? The first thing that you hear, in fact, there is no way you will skip the word doctor, medical doctor. I want to become a lawyer. Somebody wants to become an engineer. Somebody wants to become a pilot. Those are the things we had in the scene. And you know, it has clouded our mind. That is what we believe in. So until you become a doctor, you don't have a job. Until you become a pilot, you become a lawyer, you don't have a job. But things are changing. You know, right from the onset, that is where we all start tilting towards. I was talking to somebody making fun. You know, the people that said we wanted to become lawyers are now selling tomatoes in the market. Somebody who wanted to become a doctor is now a carpenter. And there is a way I look at jobs now. Now, we need to redefine jobs, and we also need to redecorate jobs. Let me explain. We are supposed to get to a place where we understand that we are supposed to put our hands to work. Now, work is supposed to be something you exert energy and also your mind in order to generate some resources out of. So it must not necessarily be something, I need to be a lawyer. Too complicated. It's a simple thing, and we haven't understood it yet.
I was asking a question about entrepreneurial opportunities. You hear people who have made it say that, look, there's a lot of opportunities for young men, young women, those who have lost their jobs, even under COVID, those who have been asked to go home, to walk through and succeed in life. But the fact is, some just cannot see it, either because of the difficulty in raising startups or the difficulty in finding the available market because of competition. But motivational speakers make it look so simple. But we cannot see it. Can you help us?
Exactly where I'm coming from. I just wanted to start from that premises until we really, get those things off our mind, that is not just the jobs we have. In our present times, those jobs that we were excited about and they are not so available now. So there is a need to veer off and begin to rethink. Technology has taken over at the moment. So even doctors are getting out of the market, because some of the things that you need to see a doctor for, you Google it, you get it. This time you get on the internet. So there is a need for us to now begin to take a look at some of these basic things and get to know that they are out of the way, and there is a need to look at things in a brand new way. Entrepreneurship, for me, I believe is the very, very foundation for every nation's development at the moment. Now, you are talking about motivational speakers coming through telling us of, we moving away from our regular stuff and getting into entrepreneurship, and that is the way. Trust me, that is the only way out. We just have no option but to veer towards that part, because at the moment, government, quite recently we had the finance minister coming to tell us that there are no jobs. It's choked.
Is it easy to teach somebody to see where money is growing that he can tap into?
All right, let me go straight to it. Now, jobs, just like I said, are no more the regular way we see them. The jobs that are available now is in something that most of us are not comfortable with. Problems. What is the problem you are seeing? I entered this place. There are people here, technical guys. I have a presenter right by my side. If I'm veering on the path of entrepreneurship, the first thing that must come to my mind is, what is the available problem?
Here.
What is the available problem here? And that is the premises on which entrepreneurship begins. If you are going to veer on the part of to become an entrepreneur, you need to think problems. What is it that must be solved? Now, until you find what the needs of people are currently, and it could be just anything.
So it is not about thinking of the money to start a business, but to find what business you want to do.
Exactly. It is the solution of the problem that will bring the money. Now, for me, I am of the opinion that anytime you veer into any venture and you have money on your mind, you end up missing it. You need to find out what are the issues pending. Now, we have people that have veered into the sale of food, and it's because it's a pending problem. We have a society at the moment that is fast moving. We don't have time. I woke up in the morning, I've been on the go till now. If I can find somebody that can say, make an arrangement with me, I can avail my services by providing you food at this particular time. XYZ Broadcasting Limited is an outfit. I'm sure we have people here that will want to do lunch in the afternoon. This is a problem. As an entrepreneur, you need to look at what is it that I can do to bring a solution to this. Until we begin to look at things in that light, trust me, we are going nowhere.
Is it that easy? I want us to listen to Reverend Albert Okran shortly, but the question before, is it easy to identify a problem, or you need a certain level of grooming to be able to appreciate what problems are?
Well, it is both ways. I believe that on a regular day, every human being should be able to identify a problem. But beyond identifying the problem, there is a need to also get some grooming that will help you when it comes to, veering on the part of solving that problem. And that is where, so as an entrepreneur, it begins by you finding it. But beyond just going, finding the problem, there is a need to know exactly what to do in order to bring the right solution that will end up generating you some income.
Reverend Dr. Josh Ofori is our guest on Ideas Exchange today. I told you I'll be talking to two guests. They are all reverend ministers. They are all motivational speakers, people who I see as change makers. Now, very often, young men and women, those who may be in their 40s and 50s, who are also becoming frustrated because things have not been the way it should be, maybe thinking along like me. Is it easy? And what are the basic things that you must look at? I tried to find some of them in this presentation by Reverend Albert Okran. We'll listen to him for about 4 or 5 minutes. I'll come back to the studio and we'll continue the conversation.
Let us reorient our minds and not despise that graduate who says, me, I want to sell wachi. And don't let the parents and the friends and the pastor and the relatives and the chief of your community call you to a meeting and say, what get to university or call about wachi? Do you know how much they make from selling wachi? Let's talk. The business models of today is not about shame. It's about in all labor, there is profit. In all labor, there is profit. So my friends, whatever God has put in your hands, say, hey, do it too. Don't care what people say. They will laugh at you, but when you prosper and you do well, they will clap for you. The thing God has given you, do it. Do it with pride. Don't dodge. Don't be shy. Do it. If a baller collecting company can win Entrepreneur of the Year, you to whatever God has given you, do it. Number 2, be very agile, be very flexible, and be very responsive. That means that mentally you must be smart, fast, adaptable, speed. Because the problem is that sometimes when the changes are taking place, people are too slow to respond. Really? You are now going to analyze. By the time you finish analyzing, somebody is gone. The World Economic Forum did an analysis of the 10 qualities that anyone who will be relevant in this decade and beyond must have. And of the list of things they listed, they wrote down, the number 10 was cognitive flexibility. I was interviewing the CEO at that time of Unilever, and she said, one morning I can be in a boardroom having a meeting. The very next hour, I'm wearing my jeans and my t-shirt at Makwala, interacting with the market women, trying to find out the pricing policy, find out the demand, customer movement, customer behavior. He said, that place you don't wear suit. And yet you fresh graduate, you just came out of university, you are feeling too big to go to Makola and wear t-shirt and jeans and hang out with the market women. You are feeling too big. Flexibility. I was interviewing a senior executive from the biggest company in this country. And she called and said, we are in a board meeting, so it will be very difficult to make it at 2 o'clock. At 10 to 2, she said, she texted me that we were still in the meeting. Just before we went on air, she appeared. And I knew where her office was and where the studio was. So I was saying, he said, after. After the interview, we went on there, did a brilliant interview. When we finished, I said, hey, but still, how? He said, oh, Kada. I know the car she drives. If she had sat in her car, she wouldn't make it to the interview. And she could have called me and said, you know what, it's not my fault. I know I promised you that I'll come, but the traffic and the time I finished the meeting, I couldn't come. But a person of dignity has given her word, and because of cognitive flexibility, she parks a 4-wheel drive, jumps on an Okada, and is at the studio. We finish the interview, back to her boardroom on an Okada. And yet, somebody who is beginning life, he said there was no car, so I sat down, I didn't go. If you are shy, you will be broke. If you are shy, you will be broke. Why it has reached right now, there's no room for shyness. If it will work for you, please do it. Number 3, be brazenly innovative. The reason why somebody is selling the same watch you are selling and there are cars queued is innovation. Just think about how I will make my own different. Hey, you say, alakwa. How can they sell alakwa and kube cake at a hotel and cars, Benz, Pajero are going to buy alakwa? How? Alakwa is the same thing, the one we knew when we were children. Go to any of the big hotels on Sunday afternoon. People have parked their cars, eating kokonte and alakwa as dessert. Face the wall. What is the difference between the face the wall at Moving Pick and the face the wall at Holiday Inn and the one you sell by the gutter? Be brazenly innovative. This hotel is called Hotel Giraffe. The whole selling proposition of the hotel is that when you go there at breakfast, they will open the window of the restaurant and the giraffe will pass their neck through the window and eat your food, and you clap for the giraffe and they'll take a picture. You have bought your food though. The giraffe will eat the food. In fact, you yourself will happily feed the giraffe with the food. When the food is finished, they'll bring you pictures of you and the giraffe. And then you pay big money. You say, ho, you too, ho. The reason why the same thing you think you are doing, others are doing it and making money, is the spirit of innovation. It's in the book of Daniel, the spirit of innovation. You are doing your own differently and people like it. Monetize your talent. Monetize your talent.
And so that is Reverend Albert Okran. It's a long tape, and I believe that after this program, if you see Reverend Dr. Josh Ofori, he can make available to you this informative message, which will come to you from him if you want it. But I learned a number of words. It talks about being somebody who will have to let shyness be in the cupboard. Because if you want to make money, don't be shy about what you do. And whatever you do, do it in spite of what the people are saying. And then it goes on and on and on. But do you need to be talented to be a good entrepreneur? And then is it society that brings up such people? Because in our part of the world, they talk about the Kwewus. My boss is one of them. I know his work culture. Mr. Deborah will wake up, dawn by 3 a.m. He's up, already working. By 6, 7, he's at the office. And he is somebody who will always ensure that the right things are done, and he does it well. I've worked with a former boss before who will be with us and close with us, far away in Takrady. We saw them as unique people. Some of us assumed that, well, these are lucky people. Maybe they came from a family. But if you dig their backgrounds, their parents were not as wealthy as we think. So what really makes such people stand out? Luck, tribe, God's blessing, or what?
Thank you very much. A very interesting question you asked. I mean, it's interesting how people think that some people are born with silver spoon. They are born with some comfort. I'm of the opinion that even if you were born with so much comfort and you are not hardworking or you don't put the right practices in place, you end up losing it. Because wealth is, or whatever achievement you have in life is based on who you are. So I'm of the opinion that people, it is your person that determines what you have.
Can you be forced to be made who you are, or it is by intuition?
Interesting question. Let me begin by tackling what you started, some of the things that Reverend Alberto Kran shared, and then maybe we'll get to that point. He started by dealing with something very interesting, and it is Bible-based. And as a pastor, I won't run away from it. It's something we need to deal with. The Bible says, in every labor, there is profit. In every labor. You know, I started by making mention of something that we need a job definition. We need to redefine jobs and redecorate jobs. I keep asking myself, how did the profession of a doctor begin? I mean, in our country, we have people that are called herbal doctors now. And they are practicing. I think, fortunately for us, I mean, universities like KNUST are now training people to practice, I mean, these herbal stuff that we do. But you ask yourself, medical doctor, or the practice of medicine in itself, how did it start? What really happened over the years that has brought professions like people that practice law, legal practitioners? Isn't it somebody who was possibly competent in solving people's problem in one community that started developing it and working on it, and then went to the extent of training other people? Because from the onset, God never created a lawyer. God didn't create medicine, but it is practice that brought it, and it became decorated. I mean, it felt so good to become a doctor. In every labor means every labor. Selling of watches, selling of pure water, selling of anything at all, carrying things on your head, it is every labor. The Bible says in every labor there is profit. And that is to tell us that God is trying to teach us something here, that it is not some special jobs that will bring you profit. It is a decision to tell yourself, I am ready to do anything legal and proper that is supposed to generate funds. So you need to start on that premises. And that is why I say solving problems. I mean, a young lady finishes school and they want to look so fine. They want to wear some skirt suit and be moving around for everybody to call them a banker. But trust me, interestingly, I did an analysis. I think I did a write-up on it. You realize that some of the people that even do these regular jobs, like a mason, a trotro mate, I checked the income of a watch seller, and I realized that it was much more than a teller. So there is a need to get to a place where we will tell ourselves that it doesn't matter what I do. I will rather decorate that job, redefine that job, and make it look good. I don't care what somebody says. I don't care what somebody brings at me. What I am looking for is profit.
Now, I've seen vehicles on the street, especially those ones we use to move human excreta. Mm-hmm. And one of them, I read an inscription, toilet business is serious business. Now, the reason why I'm raising this is about what I see, or I may want to describe as a legacy of colonialism. So when we're growing up, they will say, a typical Fanti, Oyibin. Mm-hmm. So they look down upon you, or a watchman, they will look down upon you. And so I see Ghanaians who are ready to do all kinds of jobs. They may call them menial jobs here, but under this conversation, there's nothing like menial jobs.
Not at all.
But the same Ghanaian in Ghana would not want to do such jobs, but a typical Ghan or a typical person from Winneba or somewhere in Cape Coast, there's this saying that they may sit down and other people will come and do the work and succeed, and they will be on the street playing dumb. What could be the reason?
So the problem is the kind of definition we have placed on those jobs. And if we are going to develop as a nation, there is a need for a redefinition.
It's a psychological thing.
Exactly.
Now, I want to share some slides borrowed from Reverend Albert Okran for this conversation before we take a break. It's about drivers of change and trending businesses. It will be shared on the screen and I'll read. If you look at the drivers of change, for example, you are seeing rising unemployment, intense competition for jobs, increased digitization and technological disruption, changing world of work, disappearance of traditional barriers, COVID-19 today and its attendant disruptions, visualization of everything, unprecedented adoption of new ways of living. Does this slide create opportunities for us, even as you look at what is on the screen and the conversation goes on? Because it appears this may look at areas, but walk us through it.
Exactly. As he said, times are not as they were before. There is a huge change that has taken place. As I'm talking right now, this one is not, something far away from me. In my house at the moment, I have somebody who was in the US join us about a week ago. And trust me, when you are talking to her, she said, I'm working. Yet she's sitting with her baby on her laps. She's working. So times have changed. There is a complete change in the system, and the earlier we begin to rethink and begin to follow some of these things, COVID-19 has taught us a different thing altogether. I'm a pastor. When I'm preaching in church, the people that listen to me outside the walls of the church are more than those inside. I come on radio. I call my radio program on Sunday afternoons.
For those who are listening to it, he's a regular pastor on Power FM. And of course, he started with us on Radio XYZ till what we know happened. He's going to be back on Radio XYZ. Of course, he's still on Power FM. You can listen to him on weekends. And let's move on with the conversation.
Yeah. So I call my radio program Second Service on Radio because it's Sunday. And trust me, I have more listeners than those in my church. And that is exactly what is happening. People must begin to rethink. You know, I was watching a video of it was in UK where they have these robots. You order your stuff, and then the robot will move into the shop, they fill it, it will drive straight to your house. And so now the one who does the salesman has lost his job. Times are changing. You know what happened before COVID-19?
So we'll have more time to do this conversation because I'll be taking a break shortly and then acknowledge X Natural Mineral Water and of course ZPay, some of our sponsors on the program. And of course, if you are listening to this, I'm talking to Reverend Dr. Josh Ofori. He's a lecturer, CEO of Mandate Leadership Group. I'll tell you more about this church at the tail end of this conversation. Now, I want to raise this. The problems we have about young men and women getting out there to find their own jobs, is it self-inflicted or you want to blame leadership, i.e. government, not today, not yesterday, since Ghana's inception for this? Now, there's a gentleman who has succeeded in life, very popular, a comedian, Steve Harvey. He has said something that should pump sense to the minds of those who may have the opportunity to change things better, create bigger opportunities for young men and women. Watch the video carefully, reflect on it, and think about Ghana 50 years ago.
I don't know how you did this in 50 years. You look at history. Who does this? Show me anybody else that has done this in 50 years. I'm waiting. Show them to me. This wasn't done by money. Money doesn't produce visions. Visions produce money. You've had leadership over here that were visionaries, great visionaries, and their vision was more about the people than the money, because you can't accomplish this in 50 years without loving your people first, because the people are the ones that's benefiting from this. Look at your health care. Look at your road system. Look at your highway system. Look at your airports. Who does this in 50 years? But who benefits? You're going to care about those people. It's something to be learned about what's been done over here that could be duplicated in the world, because there's people with this much money. You just don't have people with this much love for their people.
And that is Dubai within 50 years. Look at Dubai and what Dubai is today. And they are making a lot of money. And it sounds very irritating when our, I don't know, I just want to relax the strong word I wanted to use. But today, Dubai is on the lips of every Ghanaian who wants to have fun. I'm going to Dubai. I'm going to Dubai. People are buying properties in Dubai. But that opportunity was created. And so my next question to Reverend Dr. Josh Ofori is very simple. Can a governance structure today or in future change the psyche of young men to stop the dependence on the state for jobs and take it upon themselves? Or should our curricula at the various educational levels be changed today before tomorrow our lecturers realize that they have wasted thousands of Ghanaians? While this conversation is playing, I would also be sharing, how do you call it? I'll be sharing some footages with you about young men looking for jobs. But at this stage, let's acknowledge our sponsors. When we come back, Reverend Josh Ofori will tell us more.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. Tvxyz natural mineral water. Simply natural.
Wow. Hello.
Yes, Daddy.
Oh, Sidi. With your voice, no teaching my okay. I can't live with that. Talk to me.
Daddy, the money.
Oh, yeah. I'm in short to Hanya Sankitu. Money for you. Now that you be able to be a what? Yeah, my wife. What is it?
It's your Benetto. You think slave queens are cheap?
Oh,
just use ZPay to send me 1,000 Ghana cedis. After all, the charge is only 5 cedis.
Surprise visit.
The money.
Okay. ZPay mobile money.
I can even use the same ZPay mobile money to pay my bills. Now let's
dial *270# to pay all your bills with ZPay mobile money.
ZPay Shatumu Direct.
This is Tvxyz. The program is Ideas Exchange. When I listened to Reverend Josh Ofori and Alberto Kran, they said one thing, that feed on your talent. And I'm sure Akroboto, who brought us ZPay advert, is feeding on his talent. But the conversation was, can there be an enabling environment that can trigger the interest for what we are discussing? There are no jobs for the youth. They are searching for jobs. Some have been home for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, but they don't want to sell wache. They don't want to sell maybe branded coconut juice by the roadside because he's shy of his classmates who may be privileged enough to have had a job to do. What really can create that? And while we are at this, I would be sharing with you videos of young men and women, abled young men and women who are looking for jobs, and all we can say today is that it's a security threat without looking at proper solutions.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's a very worrying thing, and we need to really, really address it as a nation. For me, I believe that it's danger that is looming, and if we don't get things corrected, it will end up affecting us. One of the things that I'm very worried about, let me give this analogy. You take a look at a woman that sold kinky, some sold charcoal, some are doing all kinds of businesses, and they use the income of that particular business to take care of their children. And such children finish university, and then they pick up a paper, a brown envelope, and they are chasing jobs all over the place. And I ask myself, can we have people that can come back from university and with the know-how and the knowledge they have gained, come and now restructure their parents' businesses? You can package that charcoal. You know, there is a woman called Dego Mami at Bubuashi. I grew up in Bubuashi, and we used to buy wachi and beans. Not too long ago, I drove past that place and I saw the same table at that same location. The old people are still selling there. And you ask yourself, can we be innovative? You know, when it comes to nation development.
And the video on the screen, it's not. It's just giving you an idea about all these young men and women.
It's crazy.
Who are looking for opportunities, and this is for the security agencies alone. And this is just a fraction of the people looking for opportunities. And we say the opportunities are there. But Baumia will say it is there. And where is it? Doc, you can continue.
You know, Zoe, it's a two-way thing. I believe that leadership is one thing we need to look at as far as this nation is concerned, because the job of leadership is to put in systems. I'm looking at it at both leadership and then the people. The leaders are supposed to put things in place. They are supposed to help our educational system. It is not helping, as we all know, and we keep looking at it the same way it is. Another government will leave, another one will come, and then we need to really do something, because this thing is taking us nowhere. But beyond leadership, I am of the opinion that even in Somalia, there is a millionaire. In the most poverty-stricken area, there is still a rich man there. So you, as an individual, there is a need to take things up for yourself.
Is it that the rich people in this country are becoming more selfish and so do not want to help those they can support to stand on their feet? Because in other jurisdictions, it has been done. So you may have a talent, the state may have systems where you can tap into capital and then develop that talent, whether it is something you have put together in the form of technology or maybe in the mechanical side. But in our part of the world, if government is not making it available, can the private sector, for example, do that to boost what we are all looking at?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I think the private sector is trying. I mean, you take a look at what is happening at the moment. The private sector is definitely, I mean, employing people, doing all sorts. They are trying, and I think they must rather be commended rather than we attacking them. Looking at our leaders, for me, I believe that there is much more.
It's an interesting point, because Steve Harvey made reference to visionary leadership, and leadership that is not talking about money and amassing wealth, but thinking about the people and putting structures in place to create a heaven for people, as we are seeing in Dubai's of today. Is that what we are lacking?
I'll be glad maybe if we get another platform to deal with leadership, because I believe that is a major challenge. It's a big challenge we have in this nation. We need people that are selfless, people that are interested in the future. If you have leaders that are thinking about their comfort, people that are thinking about how things can work for them. If you have leaders that are thinking about how, I mean, you look at the time frame they have for themselves, and it is obvious that everything is directed towards them. We need people that can think into years ahead. We take a look at a character in the Bible like Joseph, who showed up at a point in time where, I mean, the whole world was in big trouble. He predicted, got to know that there was famine coming, and then he had a 14-year plan. Talked about 14 years of plenty, 14 years of famine, and he had catered for it already. And that is the kind of leadership we need. People that are, he wasn't thinking about himself, thinking about things that he can do to save. And when I read that scripture, it breaks my heart. Genesis, I think the chapter number 41 going, the Bible talks about how it got to a time where the whole world had to come to Africa to buy food. That is what the scripture says. The whole world came to Africa to buy food. And this was in Egypt. And it was engineered by just one leader who took a decision that, let me put structures in place. And it was not just to salvage the economy of Egypt, but it was meant to salvage the whole world's economy. So if we need leaders, we need leaders. And it is sad that the kind of leaders we have, until we get to a place where we have selfless leaders, people that are thinking about how they can work things out, people that will sit down and when they are planning of the future of the nation. Until we get to that place, trust me, we'll continue to struggle.
Okay, so I want us to listen to the second tape of the presentation by Reverend Albert Okran. It's about 3-4 minutes long. And in that, there are some recommendations. If you are a parent and you think that this conversation does not bother you, think about your child and begin to give that child some of the orientation that will be available from time to time. Reverend Albert Okran now.
Discover your talent and use it, and you will live a fulfilled life. Enhance your personal value. What do I mean? The New York University did a research, and they said 7 seconds after everyone sees you, they form an impression about you, right or wrong. Have you ever seen somebody and said, "We are training"? Have you done something before? Oh, we all do it. Then later you say, "Oh, unim." If you don't understand, I will explain. Later, the most important thing that the research showed is that within 7 seconds of somebody seeing you, they form their impression. There was a day when a lady approached me in front of my office. To be very honest, I balanced it to the office. I thought she was not correct. Later, I found out she was selling life insurance. And I said, how can you be selling insurance and dressed like this and looking like this? I thought she was not correct. Appearance matters. A friend of mine told an amazing, painful story about an experience in New York. She said when she finished university abroad and she was struggling to get a job, she was fortunate to meet a very rich CEO. And the CEO gave her her card and said, come to my house tonight. You and your friend, your male friend that is also looking for a job, come to my house tonight. They didn't ask, is it a function? They just heard, come to my house. So they said when they got to the neighborhood crowd that the woman lives in crowd, they were intimidated. And they got to the gate. When they got to the gate, in their torn jeans and they arrived, the security man was wearing a suit. Then he said, you ain't going inside. He said, oh, you don't understand. Madame so and so invited us. He said, I understand, but you can't go inside. He said, oh, how? She gave me a card. This is a card. I can't even call. He said, you don't understand. You can't go inside. So as they argued with the security man, he opened the gate. When they opened the gate and they saw the black Bentley, black Rolls Royce, black Benz, the cars had formed queue like this. It was apparently a meeting of CEOs, saw all of them in black tie. So the woman was saying, my young unemployed friends, come and let me introduce you to some CEOs who may employ you. All they should have asked was, what is the dress code? What is the nature of the meeting? You have come in your torn jeans and no. Here it's not torn jeans here. What am I saying? Your value proposition is determined by a number of things. Number one, your command of language. Stop giving excuses. Stop explaining your situation. Your father didn't have money and they didn't help you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At Mondays,
those are, I would describe them as teasers. The program is Ideas Exchange, and we are happy to say thank you to our sponsors, X Natural Mineral Water, and of course ZPay, which has joined. And of course, if you also have a business and you want to use this platform to support us, and also because of the large viewership, you also get as much as you can earn from sales. Why not? Just come to XYZ Broadcasting, and we have a variety of programs on our channel from morning till midnight, and you are free to select any one of them and give us the support. Now, we are talking about opportunities for the youth. The topic is joblessness, poverty, and breaking the cycle. Now, Reverend Albert Okran talks about a missing opportunity. And I believe that people like me, they have missed several opportunities. And so that is why I am where I am, because I want to go far, far ahead of where you see me. You're
doing great.
I'm not that great.
You're doing great, sir.
And the way are the jealous people. But that's on the lighter side.
Yes, sure.
Is it easy to see an opportunity, or it is something that must be crafted and pumped into heads?
Thank you very much. This is my principle in life that helps you make use of every opportunity, see them, and then make use of them. Life is not accidental. Life is intentional.
What does it mean?
Well, when I say accidental, it means that some people live their lives. If I chance on somebody, if I meet somebody, trust me, I'm sure you will not believe it, but coming here is intentional. I planned to be here. I wanted to be here. And whatever I am saying or doing, it's not something that just came to my mind. Everything is well planned and well structured. And I'm saying, I believe that there are times you must even say what you want to say and not what people want you to say. Life must be intentional. Anytime you live life with, the understanding of life is intentional, it makes you take advantage of every opportunity available and you see them. Now, if you really want to find success in life, if you really want to get to that place you are getting to, don't just move like everybody is doing. Don't just flow with the masses. Don't just be swayed by any wind. Let your life be planned and get to know that first of all, you need to know where you are going. And once you know where you are going, you begin to work. And it's intentional. That is it. Everything that, anytime you enter somewhere, you ask yourself, what can I get here? What can I do? What can I put together here that can add up to the place that I am journeying to? If you live an accidental life, you end up becoming what life wants you to become. But if you live an intentional life, you end up, it's like I plan to put up this building. So I know the kind of materials I need to get it there. And that is the advice I'll give to everybody. If you really want to utilize every opportunity, when you wake up in the morning, and you start moving, tell yourself, this is what I want to achieve. Don't let anybody dictate the pace for you. Get to know what you want. There is a movie, a cartoon I watched some time back, and it makes a lot of sense. He said, I am Kirikou, and I know what I want. You need to live an intentional life if you really want to succeed.
This is Ideas Exchange. And I believe our objective is to at least make some progress.
Sure.
If you are speaking to parents, if you were speaking to a student, that's your camera. I want you to talk straight to the camera and share something very touching with them.
All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I want to recommend this program for everybody that is doing the viewing, get others to watch. I think it's a very good program that is meant to educate you. But just a quick one, anytime I get the opportunity to do a quick share, these are things that I share with you. I call it the VIP principle, Get to know what you want to do in life. Get to know. Don't be swayed by just anything. What is your vehicle? What do you want to use to get to where you want to get to? I am a pastor. I am a motivational speaker. I speak, and that is my way of surviving. That is my vehicle. Find something to do. In other words, put a definition on your life. Find exactly what you want to achieve in life and get what you want to use to achieve that thing. And then the second thing is, please, the walls of our institution, I'm talking about our schools, are not the final place of getting yourself educated. Read, learn, listen to programs of this sort. Get yourself educated, and that is what I call the information. Get yourself informed. Make sure that you are receiving informations that will get you going. Learn, don't end. There are people that finished school 10 years ago, and that was the last time they read a book. They finished school 5 years ago. That was the last time they ever went through any lecture. But life is a learning process, something you must do every day. And the final one is very key. Work on yourself, your person. The V is your vehicle, the I is the information, and then the P is your person. Upgrade yourself, become a better you. Remember, we are moving into 2022 pretty soon. Are you going with the same person? Trust me, the same person will always attract the same result.
Especially when we are told in advance that 2022 it's not going to be easy.
It's obvious.
It's not going to be easy.
But as an individual, take a decision.
I've told my wife we have to start thinking about wache business, because when I'm buying wache, now omuti mami say 3 cedis per.
And you open wache
a cup of rice, and I ask myself, Charlie, well, my guest today, in fact, while I'm sharing this with you, I have a picture that will be shared on the screen. It has a lot, simplified in one frame. It will be shared on the screen. But Reverend Dr. Joshua Fori has authored 12 books. It's a prophet. It's called a Prophet of the Word. That's your popular name. You are married to Araba. I know Araba is a banker. I don't know whether that's why Araba is making you feel comfortable, because we are told bankers will have money. And then he has
they count people's money.
3 children, Jason, Jerome, and Janelle. I want to say thank you to Reverend Dr. Joshua Fori for this conversation. But look at this picture. As I said earlier, this picture I'm sharing on the screen talks about when life knocks you down, get up and turn back to God. When life puts you in a higher status, kneel down and turn back to God. Your last word from this message.
Wonderful. In the midst of all the things that we do, I tell people that the grace of God is a key thing that you need. And if you don't take it, grace can bless you so much that you might think other people are lazy. But it is the grace of God. In the midst of all that you achieve and seek after all the information that you have, there is always the one thing that you need to know. That is, make sure that God becomes the center of your life.
Thank you. My name is Eric Ahianyo, and I played a tape of, Steve Harvey. He was born on January 17, 1957. Just 30 seconds. Listen to this. He's an American comedian, actor, author, and television and radio personality. Today, all of us, from Okran to him, to myself and Harvey, we are radio personalities. But look at this. He attended Kent State University, but left without graduating. He returned to Cleveland and picked up what work he could do, most often finding employment in sales. He was selling insurance, blah, 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 and it goes on. And then in 1985, he won an amateur night contest at a local comedy club and decided to focus on becoming a successful stand-up comedian. And today we know where Steve Harvey is, one of the richest men. Think about yourself. If you have a talent, nurture it. If you can talk and use your voice to make money. And the rest, I leave it to you and God. Let's meet again next week for another edition of Ideas Exchange. Tomorrow, you get the repeat of this program between 1 and 2 p.m. Good night.